Good evening. Melissa Johnson here for episode 31 of Melissa Loves to Talk. Sorry I did not get on Monday. I pretty sure I had vertigo. I was so dizzy I couldn't get up out of the bed. I literally got up to use the restroom. That was it all day because I just was so dizzy. Um, Even if people talked, my whole body would shake just from the vibration of them talking, moving stuff around. So I stayed in bed and slept all day Monday, which is so not like me. I usually get up at 7 o'clock no matter what day of the week. Of course, earlier when I have to go to work, but even on the weekends and stuff, I get up at 7, sometimes earlier than 7. Sleep all day was definitely crazy, but I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't listen to podcasts. I couldn't do anything. So I just slept. So very sorry that I was not on here. I even called out of work on Tuesday because I was afraid to drive. I felt a little bit better on Tuesday, but I didn't want to take the chance to drive. So today, well, of course, today I'm way better than I was. Wednesday, I was still a little groggy yesterday, and today I feel back to myself. So I'm back. I really miss doing this. I know it was just one day, but there's so many things that I want to talk about that now it's kind of pushed back. Um, Mainly because so much stuff's going on right now. I don't even know where to go, what to talk about. I will talk about a couple news things. Just briefly, it's not going to be what today's about. Um, oh yeah, I forgot. Today is January 23rd, 2026, and I am live. I forgot to say the date just in case people watch this later. Uh, but so I do want to talk about the protesters rushing into the church. I did not really get on. Uh, well, I didn't get on Monday, which I would have talked about it Monday. So I just want to talk about it briefly. It's uh I know people are going to have their opinions. They're going to say they have a constitutional right to protest. Okay. So, if they would have stayed outside and protested out front of the church, yes, they would have had every right to do so because they have a right to protest. Yes. But when they came into the church and the woman says that they came in, they sat down, they didn't interrupt right away. They interrupted when they didn't like his response. Okay. Not again. Not a reason to riot. Not a reason to act like a fool. Um, but they knew the pastor was an ICE agent. That's why they went there. And they went there to start trouble. That was really what they went there for. So they can say they were just protesting, blah, 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 blah. Again, if you stand out front, they would have been okay. They came in, they interrupted church. So now they infringed on other people's rights. Okay. You have to remember everyone has equal rights. Your rights don't outweigh my rights. I know this country, people think, gay people have more rights than straight people. You know, black people have more rights than white people. White people have more rights than black people. No, every single person has the same rights. That's why this country is the greatest country on earth. So people can say, I have a First Amendment right to protest. You do. But once you're infringing on my right to worship in my house of worship, now you're infringing on my right, which is what they did. They interrupted the service. They were loud. They were obnoxious. They were screaming. The one guy was yelling, screaming, cussing, acting like a fool. So Now you're not being really peaceful because you're yelling, screaming, cussing. The kids were scared to death. So now you're infringing on other people's rights. So yes, they got arrested. Hopefully Don Lemon will be arrested soon. You know, he's got pulled because he's been in CNN or whatever heck he used to do. I don't even care. He's a lefty Lulu. I don't deal with him. So hopefully he will be arrested also. And really every single person that went in there should be arrested, because every single person that went into the Capitol on January 6th was arrested. Even the ones that were just walking around taking pictures, even the grandma that was standing outside that didn't even go in. They were arresting people that were blocks away. And I know two wrongs don't make a right, but why should you get away with stuff that we can't get away with? That's where we have the problem. The right is too nice. This is why we're where we are, because we just let stuff go and try to be the nice guy. I'm going to be honest. It's getting to be where we're not going to be able to be the nice guy. Our rights can't be infringed on to make you feel better. I have the same rights as everyone else in this country. You have the same rights as everyone else in this country. If you're a legal citizen, another thing, if you're here illegally, you don't have the same rights as American citizens. So all these people that want to cry due process, blah, 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 they don't have the same rights. They came here illegally. They don't get the privilege of having this great country, this great constitution that protects us. You invaded our country. You don't get all those rights. And just so you know, they proved it that they do have arrest warrants for all these people. The woman that pulled all these files out saw the arrest warrants. So there's your due process, people. Okay. So there are the most things that I really want to talk about was the church. And I do want to say just the ICE agents, thank you so much for going through what you're going to get all these illegals out. Okay. I will let you know if you look up dhs.gov/wow, you can look up all these people that are here illegally that have been already charged with heinous crimes that ICE is trying to get out. They're not trying to get out the nice little innocent people, which they're not innocent because they broke the law when they came in here, but they're trying to get out rapists, child molesters, killers, what else? Thieves. You know, they're trying to get out really bad people. Again, if you look up dhs.gov/wow, they're the worst of the worst people. These are the people that they are trying to get. They've already been arrested. They've already been convicted, but they were let out because of Biden's poor policies. They let all these people out and arrested all the J6ers and made sure they stayed in the gulag while all these rapists and killers were out living the life. So this is why we're where we are in this country. Okay. So that's part of what I want to talk about. That's just kind of like an overview because I haven't been on since Sunday. So just trying to catch up a little bit, have a little content to talk about other than what I'm going to talk about, because it's what I'm going to talk about is more spiritual. It's not on the lines of politics. It's not anything to do per se with that. It's a spiritual thing, which is what I talked about the other day, the last day I was on here, because I've said it multiple times. We're in a spiritual battle. So I'm going to let you know part of the spiritual battle that we're in right now. And here we go. So the name of my episode is Jezebel. Who is Jezebel and what is she doing? Okay. So I'll tell you who Jezebel was in the Bible, and then I'll talk to the spirit of Jezebel, which is what, well, when I read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. So Jezebel was a Phoenician princess. I don't know if I'm saying that the correct way. And the wife of King Ahab of Israel, known for promoting the worship of false gods and persecuting the prophets of Yahweh. Her actions led to significant conflict in Israel, and she is often associated with wickedness and manipulation in Bible narratives. Okay. Okay, she's primarily mentioned in the book of Kings in the Old Testament. Jezebel introduced the worship of Baal and Asherai, I don't know if I'm saying that right, in Israel, opposing the worship of Yahweh. She built temples for these deities and supported 450 prophets of Baal, leading to the persecution of Yahweh's prophets. Okay. Um, Naboth's vineyard. Jezebel orchestrated the false accusation and execution of Naboth to seize his vineyard, which Ahab desired. This act exemplified her ruthless nature and disregard for justice. Conflict with Elijah. Jezebel's action provoked the prophet Elijah, who challenged her and the prophet of Baal. This culminated in a dramatic confrontation on Mount Carmel, where Elijah proved Yahweh's power. Okay, that's her death. I don't really care about that. Over time, Jezebel's name has become synonymous with wickedness and manipulation in modern contexts. The term Jezebel spirit is often used to describe individuals perceived as deceitful or controlling, particularly in spiritual or political discussions. Okay. Okay. The other day, my chat was not working. I'm hoping it's working, but I realized the other day it was not working. Okay. So, right in that, what does the spirit of Jezebel sound like? Pretty much what's going on right now. That's why I said it's spiritual. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find a couple different um scriptures about her. Oh, let's read this. Tyrannical rule of Jezebel. When Jezebel married Ahab, she influenced him to worship Baal, a nature god. As a woman seeking more power, she sought to destroy those who questioned her, and most of the prophets of Yahweh were murdered at her request. These evil and tyrannical works motivate the righteous vengeance of Elijah, who correctly predicted the encounter of a severe drought as divine retrib- re- retribution against Jezebel. Elijah later had the Baal priest killed after they had failed in a contest with him to see which God would answer their prayers to inflame a bull offering, Baal or Yahweh. When Jezebel learned of the killing, she furiously vowed to have Elijah killed, forcing him to flee for his life. Okay, so it literally says she's tyrannical. So there you go. That gives you an answer of exactly what she is. And then it says, is Jezebel the evilest woman in the entire Bible? I don't know if evilest is a word. Jezebel is one of the Bible's more interesting characters, notable for the many evil things she did and for having one of the Bible's most dramatic death scenes. The more we know about her, the more we get a sense of how mysterious and vindictive she was. Okay, so she's in 1 Kings 16 through 18, 1 Kings 19, 1 Kings 20, 1 Kings 21, And then Second Kings 9, Second Kings 10. So she's in a good bit of Kings, First and Second Kings. Okay. So, three warning lessons from Jezebel's life. I like this. Jezebel made more than her fair share of mistakes. So there are any number of warning lessons we could learn from her story. Here are three basic lessons we can all start applying to today. Marry someone who challenges you. It's likely that by the time Jezebel and Ahab married, she already had a controlling personality. So she was already that way, is what they're saying. Like she was already thought she was all that and a bag of chips. However, having a passive spouse like Ahab created opportunity for that to develop even more when a stronger spouse might have challenged Jezebel to mature. So if her husband wouldn't have just been so passive, she couldn't have been so evil, is what this is saying. With leadership comes responsibility. We don't know all of Jezebel's attitudes about ruling people, but her actions with Naboth and her taunting Jehu suggest that she held the view that power was hers to use as she saw fit. She learned in the hardest way possible that this was not correct. So she just pretty much thought that she could do whatever she wanted because she was the princess, queen. You know, she just thought she was in control. And her husband could have taken control and taken care of all of that, but he did not. He just let her do it. Own up to your mistakes. When Jezebel found out that Elijah had killed her priest in a public event that clearly showed Elijah's God was stronger than her gods, she didn't repent or recognize that it clearly showed her gods had no power. Instead, her response was to plan revenge, fight back without contemplating what this event showed about her choices. So again, we see this right now. We are literally living where, you know, the left, they literally think that they are in control, they rule the roost, they are manipulative. They just constantly lie, cheat, steal, whatever they can do. So that's pretty much exactly the spirit of Jezebel. Like they have however many gods they have, you know, we know they worship Baal. We know they worship all the disgusting pedophile gods because that's what they are. They say that Trump's a pedophile because that's what they are. Everything they say that Trump is what they actually are. So this is where we're living literally in the time of Jezebel. It's just not her physical body, it's her spirit that's literally controlling the left right now. Everything that I read, I felt like I was literally just reading about the left. Like I could have put their names in there. I could have put, you know, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Nancy Pelosi. Could have put all of their names in there instead of Jezebel because they're all the same. They just want to use all these things that are not even true, number one. And if it is true, they exaggerate the truth. So they'll say part of it is the truth and just they'll change it to what sounds better. Or honestly, I don't think they say anything that's true, but eventually they have to say something that's true. You can't completely lie about everything. There's got to be something that they tell the truth about. But anyway, so Jezebel definitely, I feel like is really literally what we're living with right now. She's just manipulative, controlling, She feels like she has to do everything that she can do to stay in power. And that's what the left does. They just want to be in power. So they do whatever they can do to stay in power. Let's see if I can see anything else. See what this says. Some people do more research so they have more information. Oh, and then I thought another thing was she constantly was against Israel. So there you go. I mean, she wasn't really against Israel. She lived in Israel, but she did all the false gods in Israel. Like this says, let's see, Jezebel promoted the worship of false gods in Israel, harassed and killed God's prophets, and arranged for an innocent man to be falsely charged and executed. So, again, sounds like the left to me. They just, are just out to be wicked, stay in charge, kill people. They don't care about anything but their power. And that's pretty much where she was. She just felt like, I'm in control and I want to stay in control. Let's see. Jezebel's name has come to symbolize traits such as wickedness, manipulation, and seduction. In fact, the term Jezebel spirit is used today to describe someone who is cunning and deceptive. Let's take a look at the details of Jezebel's story in the Bible. Oh, here's going. One that serves as a cautionary tale of disobedience and idolatry, which was kind of like what I said before. King Ahab, who did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any king of Israel before him. Wow. So he did the most evil things. So that's probably why he just let her do it. He didn't care because he was doing evil things. 1 Kings 16:30 is where you find that. So King Ahab married Jezebel, making her the queen of Israel. We learn in 1 Kings 16:31 that Jezebel was the daughter of Ethbaal, who was king of Sidonians. Okay, so her father had a political connection to the King Ahab. That's how they pretty much got married. It was like a arranged marriage. So that might be another reason why he just let it go, was because it was an arranged marriage. So you're doing that. You're kind of just going with whatever. So yeah, all of that mostly pretty much says all the same stuff. It just says, she was manipulative, cunning, a liar. She didn't care if she killed people or had people killed. And this is pretty much what we're just seeing today. Like the left doesn't care about life. The more people that die, the happier they are. They literally could care less. They use death. If it's somebody on their side, they use it to their advantage. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Like Renee Good. Okay. That could have been avoided, but it wasn't. So they used it to their advantage. Okay. Well, let's now riot even more because now one of our people got killed. So we got to riot instead of, hey, maybe we should chill out and go home, or, okay, let's actually just protest because you are allowed to do that. Instead, they got worse and worse. And now it's just totally out of control. I haven't really watched it, but little clips that I've seen on other podcasts. And it's just like, when I look at it, I feel like I'm looking at a different country. I don't even think it's America anymore. I look at it like this has got to be like, Sudan, Iraq. It doesn't look like America. And it's not just Minneapolis now. We have it in Portland, which exactly what happened. George Floyd, same exact thing. It's like the same cities. We have the same thing going on. I don't think Chicago's that bad because Trump got in there and got stuff taken care of, and they're working with them. Like some of the Democratic cities are working with Trump. They're letting ICE come in. They're letting them get their people. They're working with them. Not all Democrats are lefty Lulus. Okay, there are some that do want their people to be safe. There are people that want, not people to be afraid or maybe at least to win the election. Because right now, they're just pretty much giving us the election. There was a guy, it was on CNN. I can't remember what guy it was, but he said, do you guys like to lose? You just keep doing the same thing. Why don't you try something else? Why don't you say, yes, ICE has the right to get rid of illegals. That's their job. Just let them do it. Because you're making it like you don't care about your citizens. And that's why you see all these people now saying, oh, I'm not going to vote Democrat anymore because they don't care about us. I mean, right now, it's benefiting us for them doing this crazy stuff. I just don't want people to get hurt and people get killed. But right now, it is kind of helping us for the midterms because you have all these people that are like, they don't even care about their citizens, their constituents. But they do. They care about their new constituents, which are the illegals, not the American citizens who have been here paying taxes, voting, and all this stuff for all these years. You have these new citizens that are not real citizens, but I found this out today by accident. I was looking for something else. But in some of these cities, when they get their ID or their driver's license, it automatically registers them to vote, which is weird because not where I live. You have to actually say, yes, you want to register to vote. So it's automatically registering you to vote when you get an ID or a license. And just because you have a license or an ID doesn't mean you're here legally. And it's just signing you up to vote, which is, I guess, this is how they've been doing it all this time. And someone figured it out, or again, they probably found it by accident. I mean, most of the things that people are finding, it's by accident. Like Nick Shirley said when he started, he wasn't even going there for the fraud that he found. He found all that fraud because he was walking around and the guy came up to him and said, hey, I've been trying to figure this fraud out for 5 years. Here's all the stuff that I have. Nick Shirley didn't know about hardly any of that. I think he said he only knew about like 1 or 2 daycare centers. He didn't know all the other stuff. He found that working with that guy. I think his name's David. He was working with him. And David had did all the research and found all this stuff. Then Nick Shirley was like, oh my gosh, there's more and more. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. And again, they lie. There's no fraud. Just like they would say, there's no illegals. I'm telling you, go on the website. I think you have to do www.dhs.gov/wow. I have not looked at it, but one of the podcasters I watch today, he was showing it. He pulled it up himself. He was reading what these people did. Like you can go by your state. So you can just put in your state instead of the whole country, because the whole country is going to give you pages and pages and pages and pages. Like he lives in Tennessee. I don't want to say where, even though he says it. I don't like to out people. Um, he said that there was 39 people arrested for heinous crimes in his, well, it said Tennessee. I don't know if that was all of Tennessee. I'm assuming. And these were people that did really bad things. They're not just, you know, stealing a stick of gum. They're doing heinous things. They're raping women. They're sex trafficking children. They're murdering people. They're doing bad things. Another thing that was found is there was a little boy, I think he was a boy, and he literally was like a drug mule. He was stitched up on his stomach and he had drugs in his stomach. And he was a little boy. I don't know how old he was, but he was just a little kid. And he was being a drug mule. They brought him into this country. And no, they're not doing anything wrong. These are nice people that are coming here just to get away from the bad countries they live in. Well, they sound like they're bringing the bad here. We don't want them. I don't want them. I don't know why people would want these people here. Like, you want people here that are putting drugs in babies. I mean, he's a little boy. Drugs in his stomach. He was literally cut open. The drugs were in there and he was sewed back up. I mean, this is sicko stuff. This is like stuff that you see in a movie and you're like, who thought of this? Why would you think to do this? And oh, real people thought about doing this. To me, it's just, my brain doesn't work like that I can't think that way. It's like, I can't even think of a lie. If I do like fib a little, I end up telling on myself. Even if I'm like, okay, I'm going to fib just because I'm too tired. I don't want to go. I'm just going to tell them I have something else to do. Or, then I feel bad. So then when I see them, I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't come. I was just too tired. So what's the point? So to think of the crazy stuff these people are doing, my brain doesn't work that way. I can't even think of possibly ever doing these things. I'm like, who are these people? Oh, they're possessed by demons. Honestly, they have to be. To literally put drugs in a little boy, there's something in your brain that's not right. And it's demon possession. Because a normal person would never think to do that. I mean, a good idea if you're trying to traffic drugs, like who would think to check a little kid? I mean, now they're going to be because somebody found it. But before, nobody thought of it. Probably a lot of kids that have been brought here, that's happened to. I wouldn't say he's the first one, and he probably won't be the last. I'm sure they'll find more kids that are like this. I mean, just imagine how these kids, how much therapy they're going to need, how much they're going to need to get through. Hopefully they just find Jesus and that'll take care of a lot of it. But I mean, to imagine having these things done to you, it's one thing, not that it's okay, but to be sex trafficked. But imagine being cut open, put drugs in your stomach and sewn back together, and you're walking around with drugs in your stomach. To me, that's just a whole different. I mean, it's different when I'm not saying it's okay, never okay, but it's like usually when it's women, because I know women do it a lot, they at least know what they're doing. They're doing it because they're afraid or they're getting paid. This little boy had no idea, no comprehension. Like, probably was put to sleep, cut open, and all that stuff, sewn back together, woke up and had no idea what had happened. And then they just told him, just so you know, stick with me, don't go away, don't pull up your shirt, don't do that. I mean, what do you do? Because kids are kids. I'm just blown away by it. I mean, people are some disgusting people, but that is, I might say that is taking the cake. Sorry, my lips are so dry and this chapstick is not that great. Pretty disappointed, but I keep washing and drying my chapstick. So I bought El Cheapo. If I wash it and dry it, I won't be so upset. If you wash it, it's okay. If you dry it, not good. Anyway, so where do we go from here? What are we to do? Number one, about the Jezebel spirit. My favorite thing to say, pray about it. We need to be praying. We need to be praying for these babies that all these things are happening to. They're getting, sex trafficked, human trafficked, drug trafficked. All these things are happening to these poor babies. So we need to be praying about them to be found, that they get the help they need, they find good families, that they're taken care of. We need to be praying for the ICE agents. Please be praying for the ICE agents because they are going through some stuff. And honestly, I know, please don't feel different about me, but I'll be honest, if that was me, I'd be blowing them with mace, with their little powder stuff. I'd be having a ball because I would be just doing all the stuff that they deserve because they're idiots. So that's what I would be doing if I was an ICE agent. And you could see there were a couple of them that were just sick of it. So they would just say smart aleck stuff to them. They were blowing stuff on them. They were doing stuff that they didn't normally. Oh, they're blocking the airport now? Of course they are. So they can't get the illegals out? Is that what they're blocking it for? Probably. That sounds about right. Keep the illegals here. We love the illegals and hate the American citizens. Really what it is they hate America. That's what it comes down to. I don't know why, because this country is so amazing. I mean, I've only been to 2 other countries, okay? Now, the one country I was on a cruise, can't really say that much about it. It was Mexico. We went to Costa Maya, which you could tell was pretty poor. I mean, you could tell where we were on a beach, but there was like a market there and they're trying to sell you anything. And honestly, they were like, we'll take $5. We'll take whatever you have, just because they wanted to make something. And they're trying to sell all kinds of things. And they would take whatever you had. Because I would be like, oh, I just have $3. We'll take it. Because I didn't have a lot of cash. But that's what you could tell they were pretty poor. I don't know. I didn't really go anywhere but that island. So I don't know what the rest of the area was like. Then we went to Cozumel. We went a little bit further into the island. We didn't go to the beach there. We went to swim with the dolphins. And then we did some shopping. Also, now this one was actually like stores where it was actually buildings with glass doors and stuff. But the other one was a market. Everything was open. You just walk up and just walk around. I don't know if anyone's been to actual like markets in other countries or like farmers markets. It was kind of like that, if I can think of how it is here. But that's how it was when I went to Mexico. It was like you could tell it was poor, but it wasn't real bad. Now, this was before COVID. This was 2019. So it would probably be a little bit different now because they're probably a little bit more poor now because of COVID. But then it was like you could tell it was poor, but it wasn't ran down. It wasn't gross. It was okay. But again, you could tell they're poor because they're just going to take anything you're willing to give them. I mean, I think the one thing we got was like really nice and they gave it to me for $5. They're like, I don't even care if you got $5, we'll take it. I got like a nice handmade bag. It was $20 and it was handmade. So, okay. Then I went to Madagascar. Now I was there for 10 days. So I got to see how it was there. And very, very poor. Very poor. But they didn't act poor. You know what I mean? Like they didn't act like they were really doing without. They were very happy and loving and totally different. Probably because they appreciate every little thing they have. Unlike America, we're very unappreciative. And they're like the government, they were technically had freedom, but their president was very controlling, and that's why they were so poor. That's why they're so poor, is because the government keeps them that way, which is what the government's trying to do here, is try to make us poor and keep us poor. And they have all the money and they control everything. So that's the main reason why the politicians, the elites, that's why they do what they do. It's not necessarily because they hate us. They do hate us, but that's not the main reason. It's more because they want us to give up all our power so they have all the power. Because they see how all these other countries run and how their government is. They control everything because that's the kind of government that it is, where we don't have that kind of government. This is for the people, by the people, of the people. That's what this government is. I wish people would understand that. Like, the government's not our boss. We are the government's boss. The government's job is really just to make sure that laws are being followed, that we're safe. That's really the job of the government. At least our government, because that's how our government was set up. Other governments, I don't know. But our government was set up. They are just to make sure that laws are being followed and we're safe. We're supposed to be running everything. But, 1913, when they started bringing in the bank and the Fed and all that, we started losing our power slower and not even noticing it. And like today, I was watching Graham Allen. I don't know how many people watch him, and he was saying, every day I pray about, Lord, please soften my heart so I'm not so, negative towards these lefty loos. But then he'll see something stupid. And I said, I really don't feel like God wants us to be soft anymore. I think we're past being soft because that's how we got here. The church is soft. The church doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. They don't want to talk about the real hard things. They just want to tickle our ears. They don't want to tell us the hard stuff. We're here because the church let us get here. When they first started talking about, number one, boys and girls restrooms, the church should have been shutting that down. They should have been shutting that down. When they started pushing for gay marriage, should have been shutting it down. We should have been out there protesting and doing something about it. The church just let it happen because, it's their business, not our problem. And then they want to start transitioning our kids. We're all just sitting here, just letting it happen. I mean, I was always talking about things, but I, again, am just one person. I would tell people, I'm like, there's no way a boy's going in the bathroom with my daughter. He shows up in there with her, he's going to get something in his face. My fist, my purse, my shoe. No. I was talking about it right away. But again, if only one person's doing it and nobody else is standing up, one person can only do what one person can do. But this is why this country is where it is the church doesn't want to get into politics. Okay? There's the number one problem right there. The church doesn't want to get into politics. So you have Christians that don't vote. So guess what stuff gets passed? All the stuff that's against Christianity because churches aren't voting. Or they listen to the lefty stuff and then they vote lefty because they think, "Oh, they're the nice people. We want to vote with them. We want to help everyone." Which again, I know, love our neighbors as ourselves, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We need to help our neighbors that are right next door, not across the ocean. Okay. Because we need to help ourselves right now because we're too far gone. This country is $38 trillion in debt. That's a lot of debt. Today, I was like, man, what I could do with that. That's a lot of money. They said $55 trillion has been fraudulent and poofed into the atmosphere. That's what somebody said today. $55 trillion. That would have paid off our debt 1.5 times. And nobody knows where it is. Oh, it's all in their pockets. That's where it is. They've embezzled it. All this fraud in Minnesota, all the fraud in California, all the fraud in Ohio. What's another state what they're talking about? There's a couple different ones that are already known because once Nick Shirley started doing it, you have other people. They're like, oh, if that's going on there, what's going on in my city? I want to know where my tax dollars are going. You know, most of us been working for a long time, hard jobs, you know, having kids, working full time. I mean, I worked full time and homeschooled. And I had a very physical job. I was tired. Every single day, I would come home and do schoolwork after I got home, or I would do schoolwork and then go to work because I worked swing shift, you know, either some days, some nights I was open availability. It was rough. So I would love to know where my tax dollars went because I would have loved to just stay home and homeschooled and been a housewife. But because we can't live like that anymore, because why? They keep stealing our money. If they stop stealing our money, we would be able to have one income homes. So, what we need to do about Jezebel, because that's what's going on in this country. When I was reading it, I was like, this is exactly what's going on in this country. And it's not the first time I heard this. I heard this way back when COVID first hit. A lot of people said a spirit of Jezebel, you know, that's what COVID was. You know, a woman at my church, she said she had a dream right before COVID hit that she just saw fear getting just spread all over the atmosphere. I mean, that's what it was. People got afraid and just followed what people were saying. This is a free country. Okay? If you're afraid, you can't tell me because you're afraid that I have to wear a mask. I have to get the jab because you're afraid. You're afraid, you do you. I do me. That's the way a free country works. Again, like I said, what you're doing cannot infringe on my rights. You have your right to be a crazy lunatic that's going to get 85 jabs and wear 25 masks. That's on you. But you can't tell me I have to do it. Because I'll tell you what happened at my job. I did have a job at Aldi when COVID hit. At first, of course, we didn't have to wear masks. Then we had to wear a mask. I did wear it I did not want to. I did it mostly because my boss was like, please don't make a scene, just wear the mask. We were good friends. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go along with it. Well, then um, they got to where they were like pushing the jab. They're like, hey, if you get the jab, we'll pay you 4 hours of PTO or whatever. I don't even remember what it was because I was like, I'm not getting it. I don't care. And then they said, okay, well, if you're not going to get it, we want you to fill this form out saying you're not getting it. Okay. So I never filled the form out. So my boss comes to me and he's like, hey, the district manager at the time, she came to me and said, hey, Melissa, you got to fill this form. Tell Melissa she's got to fill this form out. And he was like, are you going to make her? And she said, of course not. Okay. So they weren't making me fill it out, but every time I would go into the computer, it would pop up to tell me to fill it out because they just wanted to know whether you got the vaccine or not. So you had to say yes or no. I was not filling it out. None of their business. They didn't ask about anything else in my life, but they want to know about if I had this stupid jab. I was not telling them. So every time I would get on the computer, all the way up till when they fired me, it would still pop up. Every time I got in there, hey, fill this form out. So you're talking 4 years later, it was still popping up for me to fill this form out. And I was like, nope, I'm not filling it out. It's none of your business. You're not asking me about anything else, but you're going to ask me about this stupid jab. I'm not telling you. The stupid mask, we had to wear them for 2 years. And then when they were talking about we might have to wear them again, I said, over my dead body, I am not ever wearing a mask again. Because it was horrifying to wear that. I don't know how people did it willingly. It was awful. I literally felt like I couldn't breathe all the time. I couldn't see out of my glasses because they kept fogging up. It was just so horrible. I don't know why people willingly still do it. I mean, you have to be crazy, literally crazy, to willingly put that thing on your face. But manipulation. There's the fear, the manipulation. That's Jezebel. That's what she is. And people are still falling for it. Still to this day. People are still wearing masks in their car, walking down the street, riding their bike. All these weird things that back in 2020 when they were doing it, it was silly. But now it's really silly. So I guess I'm pretty much finished because I just really wanted to talk about Jezebel, try to explain what's going on, what we need to be doing. We need to be praying against that Jezebel spirit. We need to be praying for our ICE agents. We need to be praying for our administration. Trump, JD, all the cabinet members. We just need to be praying. That's where it comes down to, because this is just a spiritual battle. But we can't fix it any other way, honestly, unless we go in guns a-blazing, which part of me feels like it's going to end up coming to that, because I don't think people are going to stop. So I think it's going to come down to we're going to have to do something about it. And it was funny because somebody was talking about today, I was watching a different podcaster that I never watched before. It's called Secret America, I think it's called. It was two guys. And it was interesting because they were talking about, like, if they would start coming for our guns, how they would do it. And it was weird because it made a lot of sense. They were like, okay, well, they would start by city and say, well, you have to turn your gun in because there's this new law, or there's, we got to protect people. And that's how they would slowly do it. Because I did always think, like, what are they going to do? Just say, hey, guns are banned. If you don't get rid of them within so many days, we're going to be showing up at your door. So it made kind of sense what they were saying is they'd go city to city, All the blue cities are mostly gun free anyway. So they wouldn't have much to do for the blue cities. But then you have the deep red cities, like where I live. People are not going to be giving their guns up where I live. Okay. I am not. And hopefully nobody I know that has a gun gives up their gun. Because that's rule number one. Never give up your gun. So anyway, I don't know why I started talking about that. It just kind of popped in my head just because of the way I see this country going. We've got to pray. We got to vote in the midterms. We have to win these seats. We can't give the left any seats. We really need to be taking every seat, give them no power. Because once they have a little bit of power, that was another thing somebody said today. It was like, how is it when they get into power, as soon as they get into power, they start going? If you saw Mondami and that governor in Virginia, as soon as she got in there, she started executive order, overturning all the stuff that the Republican governor did. She's overturning all of it. Because they're communist. And that's all they're out to do, is make this a communist country. So we need to be praying. We need to be voting red. Like, they said, they're like, I get the Republicans are kind of disappointing right now. They're not being, the bold leaders that we need, but the alternative is way worse. So I'm going to pretty much probably talk about the election almost every day that I'm on here, just because I wanted to keep it fresh and help you understand. I'm probably going to do some statistics once I get my computer working again, because it wouldn't bring up the stuff because it booted. So all my stuff was deleted. I have to go back in there and add it back in. So I think I'm going to start trying to get some statistics and really talk about the election and try to find some video of what the Democrats are already saying they're going to do. Like they tell you what they're going to do, and people are just dumb enough to think they're not going to do it. And I don't know why they think that. They've done everything that they say they're going to do. I wish the Republicans would do everything they say they're going to do, but all we have to do is stop them. Okay, yes, we're not getting all the things done that we want done, but we definitely want to stop the Democrats from doing all the stuff they want to do. Or it will be a civil war, because we're not going to take it. So I thank you so much for watching me tonight. I thank you for commenting. Please like, please share. If you have anything you want to share with me, please comment. You can message me on Facebook. Again, if you know my phone number personally, you can text me. And that's pretty much all for tonight. I will be on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We are supposed to get bad weather. I'm not really sure. It was almost 50 today. So I don't know. I mean, it could get cold really fast, but it was almost 50 today. I was actually sweating today because I wore layers, because you never know. So I wore layers and I was sweating and taking some of the layers off. So we'll see. I'm really hoping we don't get ice, because we don't have all the stuff we need for ice. It's just not what we get here. So, I mean, a little bit of snow's okay. I don't really care, but I don't want any ice. So I hope you have a great night. Please like and share. Please join me tomorrow night. I'm hoping it will be about 5. We shall see, because my day goes all kinds of ways. So thank you so much, and you have a great